These days, not only are you supposed to figure out what to do with your life, it's got to be the perfect thing. You've got to find your niche, your sweet spot, and you need to get paid well for doing it. No problem, right? Well, if you're confused, frustrated, or just aren't sure how you're supposed to make all of that come together, this video is for you. People who are happy, passionate, and successful are everywhere, right? Can't we just turn to them to see what they did to get there? Not quite.
Oh, come on.
A few years ago, Gallup conducted an international poll that included questions about workplace happiness and engagement. How many people said they felt engaged at work? Was it A, 65%, B, 35%, or C, 15%? If you guessed A, you're way off. The answer is C. Only 15% of people worldwide said they felt engaged at work. That means that 85% of people around the world don't find meaning and purpose in what they do.
I need a different job.
Considering that, according to writer Gemma Curtis, we spend 13 years and 2 months of our lives at work. That's a lot of time being upset. But when we look around, we see a different story, right? Social media posts show people pursuing their dreams and living their best lives. And news and interviews showcase entrepreneurs stumbling on that great idea, creating a company and selling it all before age 25. Yet as we just saw, the statistics don't bear this out. In Japan, a whopping 94% of survey respondents said that they're not engaged at work. It's a bit better in the US, but not much. Only 30% of workers say they're happier with their work. This is colliding with what Gallup says is an increased focus on the value of work among millennials. They want a job and a career that's dream-worthy.
Keep dreaming. It was worth a shot.
So in a world that's so unhappy at work, how do we make that dream come true? There's a single powerful secret I'm going to share that will help you sort it all out. There's a Zen story about two monks standing in the garden of the monastery watching some prayer flags waving in the distance. One monk comments, "The wind is moving." The other monk shakes his head. "No," he says, "it's the flags that are moving." A senior monk walks by and the two monks ask his opinion. He said, "You are both wrong. It is your mind that is moving." That's the powerful secret, that in life it's actually less about what you experience and more about how you experience it that's important. The truth is actually less about what job you have and more about how you do it that shapes the quality of your life.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Katrina Lake didn't know what to do after college, so she decided to work at a consulting firm. It was there that she became curious about what would happen if you married technology with clothing retail. Her initial idea flopped, but she kept exploring, going on to work for a venture capital firm, then on to business school. Finally, Lake had her big idea. She would marry personal shopping with online clothes buying. She started shopping for her friends and keeping meticulous data about what they liked and didn't and why. Business plan and spreadsheets in hand, she began to search for funding and was turned down by more than 50 different venture capitalists. That didn't stop her though. Periodically, she would get just enough money to keep going and building her idea. In 2017, Lake became the youngest woman in history to take a company public, and in 2020, Stitch Fix was valued at $3.37 billion. Lake did an interview with the podcast Skimmed from the Couch and was asked the worst piece of advice she'd ever gotten. What was it? Follow your dreams. Lake says the notion that your job should be your dream job is misleading. So many parts of this job have not been a dream, she said. Whether it was struggling to raise money, cramming to get Stitch Fix boxes out the door on time, or being the one who had to go out and buy a new printer when theirs broke down. Here's the thing, you can be a stockbroker who makes millions of dollars, but is miserable. Or you can be a grocery clerk who changes others' lives simply with your kindness and caring. The difference lies in how you approach life, and that difference comes from your motivation. Lee Branham wrote the book, The 7 Hidden Reasons Employees Leave. She said that 89% of bosses think employees quit because they want more money. What do you think the actual percentage was? Quiz time. Was it A, 70%, B, 38%, C, 12%? The answer is C. Only 12% of employees left because of the money. According to data from PayScale, 27% of people surveyed left for an opportunity to do something more meaningful, and 17% for more responsibility. And those speak to something called intrinsic motivation. Social scientist Tim Kasser studies values and goals, including two types of motivation: extrinsic, such as for money, image, or status, and intrinsic, such as for personal growth, close relationships, and making the world a better place. He and his colleagues have consistently found that people who place a high value on extrinsic versus intrinsic goals are less happy and report lower levels of satisfaction with life, along with higher levels of anxiety and depression. And external rewards can even decrease the internal motivation you already have. Researchers took a group of kids at a nursery school who had a natural love of drawing. In one group, the children were just left to draw. In another, they were told they could earn a good player award, which included a ribbon and a certificate if they drew a picture. 2 weeks later, the same kids were offered the opportunity to draw pictures. Those who were allowed to just draw showed the same high level of interest in drawing the second time around. But those who were told they could earn a reward by drawing a picture the first time around were half as likely to want to draw another picture.
What's in it for me?
The external reward actually made them less motivated to draw. When we do things out of intrinsic motivation, we're more likely to find meaning and purpose in our lives and our work. For Katrina Lake, it was her love of data, along with wanting to answer the question, what could the future of retail look like? Here are 3 ways to connect with your intrinsic motivation. First, live for who you want to become. Create a vision of who you want to be in 5 years. In that vision of yourself, list out 5 ways you're feeling about your life and your work and your relationships. Are you excited, joyful, satisfied, fulfilled, driven, confident? Be as specific as possible. Now, for the next week, every time you make a choice, ask yourself if that choice will bring you closer to or take you further away from that vision of yourself in 5 years. Do you want to play a video game or read a book? Do you want to watch a movie or have a conversation? Do you want to take a class or waste time scrolling on social media? Hey, there's nothing wrong with any of those things I said. I love them all. But we need the right ratio. We need to make sure that more of our steps are leading us towards who we want to be than away. It's simple math. Tip number 2 is discover where you can connect something you're already doing or have a natural strength or inclination for to something you're passionate about, that connection point. Your passion doesn't have to pay you, but if your current job can pay your passion, that might just be as good and a good start. Check this out. When computer science professor Louis Von Ahn set out to create Duolingo, he had one motivation: to make learning free. As a kid growing up in poverty, he saw so many kids who didn't have access to quality education. So he and a partner created Duolingo, a language learning app that's now used by more than 40 million people worldwide. And while the company has become tremendously profitable, Ahn's motivation was never about making money. It was about giving back. That's major intrinsic motivation, connecting your passion with a larger purpose. One of my greatest loves and one of the things that motivates me is learning. And that's the 3rd tip. Learning to love learning, and no matter what you do in life, you cannot fail. If you look at every situation and ask yourself, what can I learn here? You're going to experience 2 things. You'll get to feel curiosity, awe, and wonder. 3 things that research shows contribute to feeling satisfaction and meaning in your life. And second, if you're always focused on learning, you will never be disappointed, because even when something doesn't go the way you'd hoped or planned, you can learn from it. As Katrina Lake says, I think a lot of people find themselves unhappy in their jobs because it's not their dream. But I think at the end of the day, if you're learning and if you're working with great people, that's going to be a rewarding experience. And that's how you too can have a rewarding, fulfilling, purposeful life and career. If you want even more videos just like this one, make sure you subscribe and click on the boxes over here. I'm also excited to let you know that you can now get my book, Think Like a Monk, from thinklikeamonkbook.com. Check below in the description to make sure you order today.